Hey everyone, Leo Bond here. I'm back again today for the Best Buy Canada plug-in blog, and this time I'm taking a look at the DJI Mavic Pro quadcopter, which is a flying 4K camera that is super light and compact. In fact, it folds up to roughly the size of a 1-liter pop bottle, and honestly, unfolding this thing really made me think of the Transformers. So this is kind of like a real-life Laserbeak. Now, if you don't know who that is, that's a Decepticon character that was deployed by Soundwave, the Walkman type of character. And anyway, he transforms from a cassette tape into a bird, and he goes and spies on the Autobots. That's essentially what he is. So a little bit of a Transformers lesson for you there. Anyway, what I'm going to do in this video is show you some up-close footage of this thing, along with a few of its key bits and pieces, and we'll run down some of the main specs and that sort of thing. And then what we'll do is we'll head outside, I'll show you what the Mavic looks like in the air, and finally we'll show you some of the footage that I actually shot with the drone itself. So grab your hat and let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do after taking the Mavic Pro out of its box is to charge everything up. And the charging system with this is actually very nice. The drone battery itself, which you can see me plugging into the adapter there, takes roughly 80 minutes, so an hour and 20 minutes to charge, and the adapter just plugs into a standard wall plug, which I really appreciate. The very same adapter also charges the controller, and you can actually charge both batteries simultaneously. The controller, as you can see, has a little USB cord to connect it to the adapter, and it takes approximately 2 hours to achieve a full charge, so a little bit longer than the drone battery, but it also lasts a good bit longer as well. I think roughly for the duration of maybe 3 or 4 discharges of its counterpart. The drone, by the way, has a maximum flight time of 27 minutes on a full charge of its lithium polymer battery, so certainly in the neighborhood of what one might expect of a high-end photography drone. Now, once you've charged everything up and downloaded the free DJI Go app, you'll want to get your controller ready for use, which basically just means unfolding it and attaching it to your smartphone. It's got these grabber claws on the bottom that'll hold your phone in place, and that's great because once you physically plug your phone into the controller via one of 3 included little connector wires, they've got these little adapters on the end of them, you can actually see everything that the drone sees through its very sturdy little camera, which I will show in just a sec. Of course, the controller has all of the features that you might expect it to have, plus a few extras, my personal favorite being the little wheel that controls the tilt of the gimbal so you can get that perfectly angled shot. But there are also buttons for taking a photo, for starting or stopping a video, for changing the flight mode, so say if you want to go from beginner to sport mode, and there are even a couple of customizable buttons on the bottom of the controller. Overall, it's a nice little setup that's lightweight and full-featured and very easy to use. I think it's probably as good of an example of a remote control as I've ever seen on any of the drones that I've tested before. It's also the most compact and easily portable controller that I've seen, and I really think that DJI did an excellent job on it. As for flying the Mavic Pro, well, that is super easy. When you first take off, all you have to do is let go of the joystick where you want to level off, and the drone will just hover at that altitude. And it hovers very steadily and will remain in place until you're ready to issue the next command. Now, I found in my testing that there was no drift whatsoever, and that is absolutely perfect for when you're filming and want to get a steady and consistent shot. It also has a number of extremely useful features like automatic takeoff and landing, low battery landing, the ability to follow you around, and the very useful return to home feature. Now, the Mavic Pro's top speed is 40 miles per hour, so that's about 65 kilometers an hour, and it has a total flight range of 8 miles or 13 kilometers, as well as a maximum altitude of 5,000 meters, so that's just over 16,400 feet. Of course, range is limited when you're flying in beginner mode or if you're using Wi-Fi and the DJI Go app. So for instance, if you're using touch control to fly from your smartphone, your range is going to be about 80 meters of distance and about 50 meters of height, although you still do have access to many of the same commands that were offered with the full-on remote control. Beginner mode is a really good way to practice, whether you're an inexperienced pilot or you just want to get a feel for the drone the first few times out there, before attempting anything really advanced. And that's pretty much how I always do it when I'm testing these things. I only ever get a couple chances to fly them anyway, so I don't want to be too bold the first couple of times out or I could wind up getting into trouble. It really helps you to stay out of trouble if you can't fly all that far away. Anyway, I think it's pretty obvious from the footage here that this thing handles extremely well. It's very responsive to control inputs, it goes where you want it to go, and even though there was a lot of snow on the ground when I was testing it, which did make some things, particularly the landing, a bit of a challenge, the snow was really powdery on the top, it was still a whole lot of fun to fly this, and much easier to control than some of the hobby drones that I've tested recently. Now, by the way, there are more flight features than what I'm covering here. I'm mostly just trying to hit the major highlights of this thing, and besides, I think it's time that we took a look at the Mavic Pro's camera. Now, the Mavic Pro's camera shoots 4K Ultra HD video at 30 frames per second, and it has a very solid looking little 3-axis gimbal to steady your shot. It's also got some interesting features. There's one called Gesture Selfie, where you can have the drone take your picture simply by making a gesture when the camera is facing you. That's kind of neat. And of course, there's a 16 gigabyte micro SD card that comes pre-installed in the drone, so you can record and save a good bit of footage on this thing. And you can even use the same USB cord that you use to charge the controller to transfer all of your recordings over to your computer. Now, I was actually quite surprised to find that all of the footage I recorded was automatically saved directly to my smartphone, so I didn't have to use the USB cord at all for file transferring, and that actually saved me quite a little bit of time. One thing to note, however, is that in the Quick Start Guide, it states that the controller has a maximum transmission range of 4.3 miles, or 7 kilometers, and that is considerably less than the maximum flight distance of the drone. And I believe that what they're referring to here is not how far the controller can transmit flight control signals, but rather how far it can transmit live streaming video footage. Although that may just be how I'm reading it, and I could be misunderstanding something there. I'm not really 100% sure. Now, the footage that we're looking at here could probably be just a little bit clearer, but do keep in mind that I only get to fly this thing a couple of times, so there was really no opportunity for any kind of tweaking or adjustment of the camera or anything like that that may have possibly improved the image quality. So overall, I don't think that the resolution is quite on par with that of, say, the Phantom 4 from back when I tested that, but it's still quite good in my opinion, and I was pretty happy with it overall. Now, a couple of the features that I didn't get to cover here include active tracking, where the drone automatically follows a pre-chosen subject, and there's also the front-facing obstacle avoidance feature. There's basically a couple of small sensors on the front of the drone, and of course that one only works up to a certain speed, so if you're going any faster than, I believe it's 36 kilometers an hour, you're just not going to have enough reaction time even if you do sense something. And then of course there's the GPS and GLONASS, the satellite positioning systems that the Mavic Pro communicates with, and of course even with all of those I still haven't covered everything. There's just really a whole lot that's going on with this drone, but hopefully I've given you a pretty good idea of its major features. It certainly is one of the most feature-rich drones that I've ever tested. And that's all I'm going to say about the DJI Mavic Pro for now, though I do certainly recommend it if you're in the market for a very well-made flying HD camera. If you're just starting out in the world of drones, however, I really think that this particular drone is a lot more than you need at this stage. I would say to find yourself a good entry-level model and see how you like piloting first, before you make this kind of an investment. Now, if you'd like to get some additional information on this drone, be sure to check out my complete written review at the Best Buy Canada plugin blog. And until next time, this is Leo Bond signing off and saying thanks everyone for watching and have an excellent day.